Alrighty, so thank you everybody for tuning in to this webinar we do. This is Mastering Real Estate Excellence. This is Strategies for Success. Today I have Dave Bedient out of Houston, Texas, right?
Yes.
Beautiful, Dave. Thank you for tuning in. So today I've really got something simple. However, I do think that this is, a special part of the system. It is, I'll go ahead and show it and then give you a little bit of background information on it, why I feel that it is a important part, right? So a lot of people feel that, well, maybe many people don't know, but we also work with teams. So you can be an individual real estate agent, and you can utilize our services, but you also could have a team of people. Sorry about that. You could also have a team of people. And having a team of people, obviously, you want to stay on top of stuff and specific parameters. And so our system gives you some insight to yourself and your team, and the engagement and some data fields, I think, that are important for somebody that is managing a team or just wants to manage themselves and kind of better utilize, right, their resources and kind of look into this data and see what they can read into it. And so what I'm talking about here is this little option here to the side, which has engagement reports and data reports. So obviously we'll start with the engagement reports. And here you'll see the different team members that are part of your team. And with this report here is, let me go ahead and see if I can zoom it in a little bit, is new contacts added. And then it breaks it down per colleague, how many contacts they're adding. And it gives you a breakdown, right? It shows you history of August last year, all the way up until now. Kind of gives you kind of like a chart so you can kind of see where your people are at. And if you're a manager, having this kind of information, I'm going to assume is important. That way you can kind of look at your team, and if you have months of consistency, 6, 10, 8, 15, and then all of a sudden you're getting months of zeros, I would definitely be alarmed. I would be reaching out to people, seeing if it's something to do with their system, or why haven't they entered in any new contacts? Is it that they're just too busy, that they just haven't done that? Do they have no contacts? Especially a manager, it's probably a good thing to see and then be proactive and then reach out to people and be like, hey, first month you got a zero. What's going on? Oh, I haven't logged in. I've got a couple of people, I haven't entered them. You know what I mean? That's when you can kind of begin to look into the situation. But at least you don't go 6 months. And then when you start doing filters and start looking at, what people have put into the system and start finding out this person hasn't done nothing for the last 6 months, I think that would be worse information, to know. So with this, you can go by month, you can go by quarter, year to date, you can go by year. So you've got some, different fields, not fields, but time frames that you can filter by. You can also just look at yourself, or you look at your team. So this gentleman is, Khek is a admin, so he can see everybody, or he can just look at himself, right? So that's the good thing about that, is seeing how many people are being added, because if you're not adding anybody, then either you hope to make all the deals that you're going to be making out of the contacts that you have in your system. But if you're not adding any fresh names, then also what are you feeding? You're not feeding a pipeline, right? So that could definitely be an alarming thing to find out. And so the sooner that you can, I would figure it would be a good thing. The next report that they have is a client engagement. And so this is a number of contacts actively maintained by the owner. And then so this presents a timeline based on the breakdown of the total number of contacts that is being actively managed. This includes a count of new contacts added, contacts edited, or meeting notes added. Click the owner name for the table to see the list of individual contacts added during the selected time frame. Okay, so looks like I guess you can click on and it will bring you to this data, as it said. And I guess it was based off of all of those other. So this is the 100 contacts that this gentleman here, Khek, is dealing with. And so I think this would be good, especially if somebody's a manager, knowing to see what people have on their plate, to see if they don't have enough or to see what they're working with. They could be bogged down, they could have no leads, but obviously having access to that information, I feel, is huge. Let's see what the other will have to show forth. Interesting. So it does. It totally brings down the breakdown. This gentleman's working on 24 contacts. I mean, if I was a manager and I had to, stay on top of people, I would be going through the contacts, snooping around, looking at any notes, kind of seeing any progress that the person has made with the person, kind of see what kind of information has been added, right? So with this, obviously, this is the test environment, so we can't hold its feet to the fire too much, but I can get in here and I can see what's going on. Do I have any appointments with this individual? No appointments. What are the notes that I have? Are these any important notes? Okay, so just property searches, but nothing other than that. Okay, so please take care of, right? Okay, so this is when it was sent to the AI. Yeah, so signed up. So not much going on here. If I was a manager, I'd be like, hey Jake, what's going on with this Thomas? And I would do that with everybody. And I guess being able to pull up this list and not have to go snooping around is a benefit. And then so it gives you a pie chart, or not a pie chart, but it gives you a timeline so that you can kind of, I guess, if you see any red flags from here, go into, your colleagues and start to see what kind of engagement they have. But I think this is really good. One thing I remember working with a real estate agent with is she really didn't have much activity with her CRM. She was kind of like a light user. And when we started to look at this, we started to see that, yeah, she wasn't really doing anything, right? All of her numbers were just real stagnant and real just kind of bare bottom. But then I started challenging her using action plans, engaging, setting up newsletters, putting communications together, sending things out to specific communities and to specific, groups and things like that based off of some sourcing we did within her contacts. And she I think it was like a month, 2 months into it, and we came back to these reports, and you could totally see what it was, just a little bit of involvement and using the CRM, what it did for these numbers, right? So before, she really wasn't adding every contact into the system. She was kind of like, okay, if I speak to that person, if he picks up, I'll go ahead and do it. But when we started utilizing action plans, we needed those leads in there immediately. So we integrated them. So we kind of solved that problem to where it wasn't something that she had to do tediously. We integrated the leads to come in. So we used Zapier. We got the leads to come in. When the leads come in, they get recognized and starts off an action plan immediately. She gets notified to call and make her initial phone call. Then, depending on how that plays, she would either stop the action plan, or just let it run, because either she gets them on the phone or she doesn't. That would dictate if the action plan continues or not. And then if it didn't continue, right, meaning she spoke to the person, she would resend the action plan differently, but remove all of the kind of, hey, call me, contact me kind of content, and just leave the informational stuff, the helpful little documents that she's kind of put together to educate people on, certain things. And so that was kind of like her new protocol. And you could totally see all of a sudden with contacts being added from 1 month, from like 8 months of just zeros, she went from 6 and 12. Like it just started climbing. Within 2 months of using an action plan for a lead source, she saw 2 deals, right? She was able to identify within 2 months 2 deals. So that was really cool that within 2 months she was actually able to see benefits. Wouldn't you say, David?
Yes, definitely. Making her accountable.
Well, making her accountable, but also when you're trying out these new different things, right? People sometimes, you speak to a realtor, hey, do this. I've had, or try this on your next phone call or try that, right? you
Hmm.
really never know if it's going to work or not until you really kind of do it. And then when you do
Yeah.
it, you're like, holy shit, you know,
Yeah.
this is I remember my son, he's a young kid and he wanted to start his own business and he was talking about how he needed to find new clients. And I was like, well, there's only one way to do it is pick up the phone. And he's like, well, who do I call? I was like, well, that's what the phone book is for. So he started, Google Maps business and tried finding, and he spoke to one. And in the beginning, I saw that fear of cold calling. And when I gave him a couple of tips, put him onto a couple little videos to how to do cold calling, and then he called this guy, and he was like, he came back so energized. The call went great. The person was, I don't know if he knew, my son was starting out and gave him a chance, but or my son really kind of banged it out of the park with his pitch, and he was able to hold a conversation with the gentleman. They had a common ground. Yes, he could use a little bit of the marketing and services that my son wanted to offer him, but eventually it was set up an appointment and let's have a talk later on. And my son was like, that was my first phone call. I can't believe it. I'm gonna go make make another 24, 20 phone calls to see what he can get out. And not everybody picked up, but it was a good start. He got energized, and I kind of that fire was lit for about a month of him just cold calling and just trying to, do his thing. And so I saw that same kind of reaction with the agent that I was working with, Renee. She, in the beginning wasn't too about creating action plans and creating newsletters. It wasn't something that she was like, I guess in the beginning, I didn't see that she had too much, you know, drive. But once she started seeing that that actually can produce deals, it was like I made 7 other action plans. I've got all my action plans for all my different lead sources. Like there wasn't one rock unturned. She was just literally getting into everything she possibly could and finding and utilizing the CRM in many different, cool ways, which helps her, do her job and less effort, less stress, leveraging AI and the technology. So I could see how being able to have access to this data and seeing where your progress is and to be able to look back at the past, look at where you're going, it can kind of help help guide you through this storm that sometimes you guys walk yourselves into. But yeah, so this is the engagement. So I guess this is a good report to kind of see how you're really connecting with the contacts that you have. Clients, this is client communication. So it represents the number of times that you've had engagement with the customer. So this definitely has to be good information to know, especially if you're working with the team, being able to see who is engaging with their customers, right? Especially if you're the team leader and you're the one providing with the leads. Well, you want them to be worked. You don't want people to be just sitting on leads, not working them, and there could be deals in those hills, right? So, this could definitely help you monitor the team. Let's see what this has to say. So this presents the number of times you've exchanged messages, emails, or text messages with your contact. The higher the number, the more interactions you were having with your contact. So, for Annette, 16 in May, that's a big number for her. So she's obviously banging it out of the park. Has 1 month where it goes down, which for me, I would be looking into the month of June to see what, you know, if this is based off of text messages and emails, well, what is it? They didn't send any emails that month. What happened, right? Because that to me seems like a low number. Um, and then so here we got the customer touches, and then this is obviously the date. So good information. Remember, you can kind of go through the dates and kind of switch out the dates to kind of get better insight. One thing I can see about this information, what it could help you is if if you could see a pocket where there's like some slow months, would you would you be more prone to plan maybe your off time during those months that seem to be kind of slow? Would you plan like vacations and time for yourself to wind down during those times? Or would you still take, valuable time away during the holidays and things like that? What's your opinion on that, David?
Well, I guess what are you saying if you have if it's just a dead time for your market that you would
See,
maybe
so
not
if you're
try as
doing,
hard or
well, if you're doing if you do, let's say you start out and you've been doing this for a year
hmm
and, you do it for another year and you kind of compare your charts and you're like, well, you know what? I don't know why, but every August, September, these are my two slowest months. I've seen it twice in a
months?
row.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Why not, why
yeah,
not, program some me time during those times, but because you can see it. So it's not like it's
yeah,
going to hurt the business. This is always kind of, these are always been the slow months in for you at least. And then, so what I'm saying is having access to the data, you can, you know, read into it, give yourself the the time in the year that might be the best time for you so that you're not
yeah.
taking those. If you got an emergency vacation that you got to take, hey, you got to do it. No one's
Do
going
it.
to stop nobody. But if you can plan for it and
Yeah.
utilize this data to help you kind of understand your slow times, or for your colleagues, or I know you don't work with the team, but
hmm
if you had to work with a team, for you to be able to see, and somebody says to you, hey man, I need to get some time to myself, and you see that, you know, March for him is really a slow month for whatever reason it is, you could be like, hey,
Yeah.
take the whole month of March off. It ain't gonna hurt you because every year you haven't done anything for March. So,
Yeah.
it's not
It's
like
a
it's
better
gonna,
time to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the best time to do it. But you wouldn't have known that if you didn't have
If you're
access
not
to
tracking it.
data, if you're not
Yeah.
tracking it. So
Yeah.
just a little bit of things that I've seen to help individuals. And if people are considering, a CRM for a team, why you would consider ours. And then you got the transaction report, which helps you with the number of deals, total sales, commission values, right? So if you
hmm
want to break it down to all of these different time frames, you definitely can to look into it. But this definitely gives you insight. And I'm pretty sure if you click this, it takes you to the contacts at hand, the transactions.
So,
So
yeah.
now if you really had doubts and you really need to see the data, you can go right into the contacts and you could pull up the transactions, can
Yeah.
see what was done and really kind of stay on top of your business because I guess organization is key, right? I think it's huge when it comes
Yeah.
to, um, performing at a high level. Sometimes you got to have systems in place so that you don't forget these things. And it's not a matter of being the smartest tool in the shed, but it's a matter of setting up all your tools to work for you and with you and leverage them. And so this is the engagement, I think the engagement reports that we looked at. So, and then let's take a look at data reports, see what kind of information it helps us with. And so here, what I see is it gives us a breakdown between buyer, seller, whether if they're both, but these categories of like the percentage of what your contacts are.
hmm
So if you have, a problem of why do I get all these buyers and why don't I get a lot of sellers? Well, you could actually really go into this and see, well, your database is compiled of 78% buyers.
Yeah.
So there is a clear indication why you get more buyers than you do sellers. But if for whatever reason you were getting more sellers than buyers, well, then I guess it could help you look into your data and be like, well, why do I have a lot, but yet I end up getting more sellers? And so I feel the more information you can then kind of look and have access to in regards to your business, your real estate business, I think that should be able to alert you, at least run a red flag or give you kind of like a good or bad feeling that you're doing something good or not, right?
hmm
um, I guess the target price buckets. I'm curious where this pulls, but let's see. So these are miscellaneous reports, which shows a contact breakdown by field properties, includes breakout of the tasks and completed for the section and timeline. So with this one, I guess this is the tasks, right? So from tasks created to what you have tasks completed. Well, I guess you would add these two and that would give you your total tasks, but this is what you have open to what you have completed. I guess that could, if you had 216 tasks, I guess it'd be good to get your team to kind of look at all the tasks that they have. And then the client profile completeness. Interesting, interesting. So quality index shows you how good the information you have regarding your customers. Updating the fields with details improves the index, the quality. Okay, so 50 is considered good, 70 is considered excellent by measuring the completeness of your content. So that I think is helpful. Would you say? Did you get a chance to see what that is or what it's talking about? So of a contact,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you only have like first name, email,
Mhm.
it's obviously going to give you a lower score. But
Yeah.
let's say for your contacts, you've got comments, you've got notes, you got the full address, you've got all kinds of phone numbers, you've contacted spouse, or you at least have spouse information, details on the children, right? All of those fields being full is
Mhm.
what gives you a better score. So if you're at 50%, meaning 50% of your contacts fields are filled, I could see how you would have more fuel to go after the people and to, identify with them and, be able to relate to them and possibly build a profile on them in which you could say, you know, this
Mhm.
is this is what I see them doing, or, obviously if it's a 18-year-old kid, working at a drive-through, I don't know how purchasing a home might be for him unless obviously it makes money and makes sense and he can make it happen. But then again, you know, building a profile on these people just so that you can kind of know where you put them into your system, I think is huge. And then connecting with contact. This is what is a decency index? Shows you your engagement with your contact, connecting with them regularly improves the index. 60% is good, 80 is considered excellent. The higher the index indicates better contact with customers to realize more opportunities in reference. Interesting. Interesting. Definitely, I'm now going to be looking at people that I speak with, agents. I'm going to be going to this and I'm going to be looking to see if where they sit at, you know.
Mhm.
Have you had a chance to ever go into data and look around? Because I would say you're a heavy user of the system, right? You've got VAs using it, you're using it. You got
Yes, as far as the reporting, we've not. I can see with what you've shown us how important it is to utilize it because you can see the results of what you're doing, and then you can also see where you need to fix things. So we
exactly.
have not.
And
Yeah,
if you're not fixing things and you're just kind of, doing the same, expecting
yeah.
different results, right? We all
Results.
know that that's the definition of
It's in the
insanity.
sanity.
So
Yes.
we don't want to be insane. And
No.
so, and this really never really kind of peaked or, stuck its head out to me in the beginning. It was really more when I discovered it with somebody, saw that the numbers were zeros. So we had the floor to start from, right? Because we were straight zeros. And then when we started using it and we started doing action plans, we started connecting with clients, all of these numbers just magically started singing to us. So I think that that's definitely something to look at least anticipate and to know that maybe in the beginning, this isn't going to be speaking to you, but with a week into it, with 2 weeks into it, with a month into it, with a couple of months, half a year, you're going to be able to see what kind of engagement you're generating. You're going to see what kind of contacts you're uploading. And I definitely think that will correlate with the amount of sales, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For
No, no,
sure.
I'm glad I picked this part. Sometimes I have a challenge with coming up for learning lessons, right? So I
Yes.
definitely thank you, Dave, for coming, for showing up, and please, if you or anybody from our network of clients, right, real estate agents or others, because we also have other demographics, if you're catching this video and you're tuning in, um, and you have an issue, please take it take it to here or email me. If you think it's something that you would like to share with everybody, let me know that as well, and I can actually make it a highlight for one of these sessions. And how have you been, David? How's I know you recently told me about some issues, some Mother Nature issues with Houston, and so obviously with those challenges, that kind of I would make I would assume things slow down. But besides that, what have you been doing lately with the CRN and some of your projects? Have they all been coming out as you've planned? Have you had some hits and misses?
I guess all of the above. Trying to fix some issues. I got too many fires, too many things in the fires that I'm trying to uh, pick and choose what I'm going to go after. And I
Okay.
think really getting up with what you've hit it on is the reportability is real important. But you mentioned about the action plans, and I need to start off slowly and pick some because I'm finding a lot of people, they are not answering the phones. I got a lot of contacts in my CRM that they're not. So I got to figure out what kind of message and how I go about trying to contact them via text and email. So that's really my next step because I have, believe it or not, there's a handful I've gotten to where um, they actually answered the phone. And when I started talking to him, he basically, he said, let me get back with you. And I said, well, what's the best time? He goes, well, just call. I said, well, you don't answer the phone all the time. He goes, no, I never answer the phone. I listen to the message to see if it's worth calling you back. So I'm
Ouch.
really finding, yeah, in this day, I think most people, you're pretty lucky if they do answer the phone. So
Right.
phone, you got to call, but really that's not your first tool in your toolbox. I think it's the emails and the texting, and also you're going to have to do it over and over again to get them to actually respond to you.
Yes. I think a lot of touches lately.
Yes. Yeah.
More touches, especially the way that the world is going and the current status of real estate across the United States. I think you're going to have to touch more, right? But
Yeah.
with those with that gentleman that expressed that you essentially just need to call, right? And that's the
Yes.
only way to get to him is just do a phone call.
Yeah.
What I see about that is, and our system and how it can be tied in is you're going to find yourself with those, I don't want to call them weirdos, but those different type, right?
Hmm.
That express those, and I can't say that that is, a bah humbug type of a person, or just a, maybe a short fused kind of individual or something like that. But what I would say with him is he's clear on how he would like for you to interact with him. And what I've felt and what I've seen over the years was when people have expressed things to you that they're, this is how I roll. I don't wear socks, you know,
Hmm.
I sleep naked. That's how I am. Those are the people
Yes.
that you're never going to get them to put on pajamas.
Yes.
You're never going to give, you're going to be wasting your time gifting them a pair of socks. But if you just know that that's how they are and you just embrace it, well, then you end up getting further with that person. So what I would do is just note that account in a way that you do follow up with them and it is a phone call, right? So maybe what you do is you go, all right, perfect. So what you would do is you'll say, all right, I'll call you next week sometime. And you put in an appointment for next week. And then at that appointment, you follow up with them again. And it's like you leave like a forever living appointment so that you're always being reminded about this one specific individual because he is special and because this is how it is. But I feel if you do that, not only are you not going to drive yourself crazy because you're going to wake up to the morning of, oh, I got an appointment to call this guy. Maybe this week is the week, right?
Yeah.
And you do it. You may get a result from it or not. Maybe next week you do. Maybe it goes positive. Maybe it doesn't. But I think that you would at least have a better chance because he's expressed to you, right? Now that you have a Rolodex on steroids, you can find the contact, note that information, set up an appointment, put the little special notes so you're aware so that you can quickly just make the follow-up phone call, get it over with, done, log it, next, set it up for next week, and just kind of keep it like that. If that's how he wants to play, and I'm pretty sure if you play his game,
Yeah.
you might get somewhere because some people are like that. You know what I mean? Some people are like,
Hmm.
you got to play it you got to sing my song, and if it's not, well, then we're not going to Disneyland. And you telling me all I got to do is sing your song, and we're going to Disneyland? I would be singing your song. You know what I mean? That's the
Hmm.
type of person that I am, and so, but yeah, so I would just take it as a grain of salt. If he expressed that to you, make notes of it, set up an appointment for the follow-up phone call, and then just try to get at him like that with his own medicine. But
Yeah.
that's the benefit of having a system where you can log all these things and you can, categorize these things and set these things up so that you're not driving yourself crazy. Because it was those people that would drive me crazy, because when they gave you that sense of chase me now, right? It's like when a girl goes after a boy and the boy says, I don't like you, shut up, leave me alone, stop talking to me. The girl goes crazy. But if that boy were to turn around and go, oh my God, you're the most beautifulest thing in the world, and cherish her and worship her, and you know, she all of a sudden it's like ick, oh, get away. So,
Yeah.
what can you do? But sometimes you just gotta act like water. And so with that said, definitely if you can, so I really think that this is not too much to like deconstruct. Like, a real estate agent's gonna have their past clients. So I think that you need to kind of create a program for your past clients that not only helps turn them into advocates to your program, to your services, but to send you referrals, right?
Hmm.
Then you've got all the new business, all the prospects, right? I would possibly say prospects is different than new business, because new business is maybe a referral from somebody, but it's, somebody that you have a good indication that wants to work with you and that kind of thing. Prospects are people that you've never met, that you just have to introduce yourself and you have to,
Hmm.
meet them and present yourself to them and get in their good graces. So I feel it's a matter of identifying all of these things, right? These different types, then creating the plans for them. And obviously starting one by one, because not everybody has 24 hours they want to sit in front of a computer to bang it out. But I don't think it's a lot of time to put it together. And then get all your past clients in, get them in on the touch program, because essentially you just need to be following up with them. So you need to either
Hmm.
have, so like throughout the year, we've got about 12, 13 something plus holidays. Okay, so that's 12 touches. We've got birthdays, we've got anniversaries, we've got home anniversaries. That could possibly be another 3 touches. So we're looking at what, 15 or something like that. Um,
Hmm.
any other trending kind of topic of the, like you can, some funny meme that you saw or something, that you want to just either share your humor or paint a picture, to show that you have knowledge in real estate. Um,
Hmm.
I feel that that'll get anybody close to like 20 something touches. Let's build those out. Let's create those circle groups so that we can send those touches, whether if it's automated, whether if it's through action plans, whether it's through bulk, but let's get that done. Because
Hmm.
through that activity, people will be following up with you, and that's the low hanging fruit, because they've already worked with you, they already know you, they'll be getting in touch with you. So you lay down that foundation, but you got to work in all the, let them know about your referral program, like how the best way to appreciate your business is by sending you a referral. You possibly maybe following up with these people, maybe going to their homes and stopping by just randomly saying, hey, wanted to give you these 10 business cards, 5 for you, 5 for your husband. Just wanted to let you know if you had anybody, that was considering, just give them my business card. I would love to, help them like I've helped you. And that's helpful. You showed up with like a nice little bag of cookies from a local bakery or something like that.
Hmm.
That'll probably come off well received. Thanks for the cards. Beautiful. They'll put them in their purse. Husband put them in their wallet. If anybody they need to pass it off to, they will do that. Do that with the list of 100 or the past clients that you have. I mean, that's a good thing to do once or twice a year regularly, right? Have some type of
Yeah.
meet and greet, have some type of, here's a little gift exchange. You should know these people well, so you should know, if the husband, you know, is gaga for a good cigar, what does it take for you to pick up one and, roll by, hey, got something for you, my brother, how you been doing? Anything that I could help you with? I mean, there's also one agent I remember, she would make herself so useful when it comes to contractors, vendors, products, deals. She was just like a wealth of knowledge. And so many people would just be calling her randomly, hey, do you know a guy, do you know a good guy for floors? Oh, of course I do. I know 3, 4, 5 people that can do your floors. And she would refer people to these. And then and in some, I think she had like a little bit of kickbacks with some people. Like if she ended up referring somebody and that person, did a $30,000 job, she would get, a commission. So when real estate's slow, well, there's other ways to make money, you know what I mean? Honestly, without,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I saw that she would be always like, jucking and jiving and just kind of like a jack of all trades, but it put her into those conversations with those, you know what I mean? If they're doing a remodel, why are you remodeling? Are you thinking of maybe you need to, you know, exit out of this house? And obviously no one's going to take this house with that kitchen looking the way that it is. So, and if you're that
Yeah.
agent going in there and you're asking that first question, they could be like, well, yeah, and by the way, do you think you could help us list this home? And what do you think your exit strategy could be this? And now you get into talking stuff. That's how the ninjas do it, right? They use those little conversational pieces
Hmm.
to, when something comes up, if it's a life situation related to a real estate sale, they immediately recognize it, pounce like a tiger, and get those deals. And it's how those agents find themselves at the beginning of those things. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I definitely think one needs to break up all the little different types and then create the touch programs for all of them. And it's kind of like having, you know, five sticks and five different fires. So you've got your past clients that should be giving you on average 10 to 20%, you know, of clients from your prospecting. You should get, maybe like a 10-25, depending on how you really kind of hit the prospects. Um, from the new business and referrals, you should be, obviously, that's kind of more like probably a higher percentage because those people are referred by people, but at least you can kind of get the breakdown and you can really kind of see your numbers and kind of know where you're at as an agent and really kind of know where I need to put my effort. You know what I mean? If I'm getting
Hmm.
a lot of great deals from my past clients, why am I doing anything else other than just focusing on my past clients? They're the ones that are, feeding me. So why not just go with the flow? But if you don't have any insight to any of this flow, that's the number one, problem for people, is just not being able to see it and not having access to these types of little data sets so that they can
Hmm.
be aware and be like, oh, really? That's right. That last month I didn't add anybody to the system. Well, that's going to probably stagnate the pipelining. You know what I mean? Stacking up the pipeline has to be a consistent thing.
Yes.
You have months where, oh, I did 3 months of not pipelining. Well, now you have to try to sell deals on 3-month old data instead
Hmm.
of fresh data that you've been, digging out, trying to find new opportunities. And so,
Hmm.
any questions, David? In the past, in the future, anything you're working on? I know you've got some action plans you want to work on. I know you've got access to all my numbers and you know where to find me. So if you do need some help, please loop me in. I would love to, you know, look at that and probably, the best action plan together and get it triggered and see what the results may be from it.
No, I appreciate the offer. You're always there for me, and I think everybody,
Oh no,
one of the
that
members,
that does not that is unfortunately right. That's not just for you. That's for everybody
for
here with Legal
everybody,
Shield, or not Legal
I
Shield, but
know.
Field Notes. And so yes, that's an invitation. But since I've got you specifically and I'm talking to you, that
Yeah.
that invitation definitely goes to you so that you have that support. And if you
Yeah,
want,
for
to,
sure.
to kick ideas around, I love playing shop, right? So,
Yes, you do.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I'll send you an email because I there's just I'm gonna pick one or two areas, and I know your guidance is great. So
well,
I'll
thank you.
definitely shot. Yeah, but this was a real good one. I wasn't sure what it was gonna be, but it was on one specific thing. But I think reportability and checking your numbers, whether you're in a group or you're by yourself, and sometimes it's more important when you're by yourself because nobody's
Mhm.
checking on you, and being able to see what you can fix and what you can be excited that's working. So no, this was a real good topic.
I thank you. I thank you. And I'm glad it resonated. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it
sure.
was definitely a pleasure. So I thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and to you, David, for showing up and leaving
Um,
that invitation for everybody to subscribe, to add us in the notifications so that when we do post new videos, you guys can be notified immediately of them. And
all right.
yeah, comment below if you have anything to comment as well. Alrighty, David, a pleasure. Everybody, you guys have a great day. Ciao, ciao now.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye. You're welcome,
Bye.
David. Ciao.